2 hours later.
As good as this might be, we all know the consequences, and they're not pretty. I'm sure many of your parents tell you, don't eat too much junk food, don't eat too much candy, because the food that we eat, mostly junk food, is made up of different oils and fats and a lot of sugars and carbohydrates that are just so much for our body, and our body begins to start going slower and starting to develop different sicknesses. And nobody likes getting sick, and nobody likes to have their cavities in their teeth and their teeth falling out. Well, in the same way that the food that we eat affects our body physically and how we move, how we breathe, there's also spiritual food that affects our spiritual body. What are some examples of spiritual junk food? How about video games? How about movies and social media? Well, those aren't all completely terrible just because you play video games or watch movies. It all matters on how much we take in. Because if all we do is eat junk food every day, day to day, morning, lunch, dinner, all we're eating is McDonald's, In-N-Out, Taco Bell, all these fast foods, and if we start playing video games all day, we wake up, barely wipe our eyes, start watching a movie, or start going on social media and swiping through Instagram all day long, in the same way that our bodies are affected physically, our spiritual bodies begin to slow down as well. Well, the Bible, you might not be reading it morning, lunch, and dinner, but it's good to have it at least one time during the day. And then it's good to at least pray one time during the day. And on top of that, we don't have to always be doing something that's spiritual or we're reading or praying. There's also normal things that we do in life. For example, when we listen to our parents, it's a commandment of the Lord to listen to our parents. And when we do it, we are feeding our spiritual body. There's a time in history, way before Jesus came, and people were hungry for the Word of God, and they wanted to live and serve God with their full hearts. What they would do is they would spend time gathering themselves in a synagogue or in a place of worship, and they would spend time with God. There came a time where they just began distracted with their lives, and they began focusing more on the earthly things, not so much on getting together and worshiping God. And what happened was God cut off all the supply. He wasn't going to speak to them anymore. And so for almost 400 years, God didn't say a single thing, not to a prophet, not to somebody through a dream. None of the kings prophesied. God just closed the doors, and nobody was able to eat spiritual food. It's not that there was a famine in the land for real food, because they still ate, they survived, they lived, but there was a famine for spiritual food. And God created this hunger in people up until Jesus Christ came. And the moment Jesus came, the Lord started speaking again, and people started hearing Him again, and they started eating spiritual food. And from that moment on, with all the apostles and the church, and up until we are born, this food has been delivered to us as well. And so we need to be spiritually and physically healthy. We need to exercise physically to stay healthy. We need to eat good food to stay healthy. And in the same way, we need to exercise and eat well in the spirit.